Hey, Performance Reviews, where I give you the review from the technician's point of view. And today I'm going to answer a few questions for people about the differences between Miele's Guard L1 and the outgoing Miele C3 S8, which is also very similar to the M1 series of machine that will be replacing that, but not directly. So buckle up. This is complicated and German in only the way the Germans could make vacuum cleaners complicated. I'm going to explain all this good stuff to you, so hopefully you can make an informed decision by the end of this video, which is right for you. And I want to show you the improvements on the L1. I had a lot of comments saying they thought there were a lot of setbacks, and there are a few, and it really is an overall improvement in terms of functionality of the canister when we're talking about floor cleaning. First thing I think we should talk about is just like size. Like, what is the difference in size? Well, size isn't a huge difference. However, I will say the L1 is a little bit lighter, and that's by design. All right, let's talk about some of the differences with the accessories. With the L1, we get a dusting brush with no storage. And in this little pocket here, we get a very interesting combo tool. This is a crevice tool, and it flips up to be your upholstery tool. So it's a 2-in-1 tool. Not a huge fan of this, but that's what they are giving you. They also share the same accessories. In fact, they'll even share the same hose. So there's not a lot in terms of the accessories that are different, except for the onboard accessories, where the C3, we had a dusting brush, crevice tool, and an upholstery tool, all stored separately in a compartment with the L1. So those are the major differences, is that you're getting a different upholstery and crevice tool. That being said, a lot of people would purchase the bigger crevice or dusting brush, or they'll purchase the turbine tool for doing stairs. So I don't see this as a huge deal, as more of a little bit of an inconvenience when you need a crevice tool on board. Another difference is tool storage. So with the L1, we have the tool storage just goes in one hole there. There's no storage for the dusting brush, where with the C3, we had a compartment that stored all three tools. Now, the reasoning for getting rid of that compartment, I guarantee you, is price. It was once told to me at a dealer-only conference that having these tools inside this compartment cost them roughly about $100 in manufacturing per machine to do. So I can see them trying to get away from that, and why they're trying to get away from that. Why that cuts convenience, it doesn't cut quality. So, and I think we're just going to go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the pricing. The top-of-the-line C3 was more expensive than the top-of-the-line L1 as of time of launch. So that means the L1 pricing is kind of in line with the C3 pricing, the entry-level C3 pricing. So it's rare you don't see a price increase. There probably will be one in the future. This is going to age like milk, but at least in 2025 at launch, the pricing is a little bit less, or the same depending on how you look at it. If you are using the tools more, you probably want to pick up a C3 while you can. And I'll have a link below where you can contact your local dealer. That's generally the best place to buy one of these. You get a longer warranty and usually a little bit better on price than if you were just to buy it online. If you are in a remote area and you don't have a dealer, I also have a link in the description of where to purchase this on Amazon, and that helps the channel. And before we get too far into this, I just want to note, at the time of filming, it's 2025, and the L1 has been on the market for almost 2 weeks now. So here in the US, those things could change at any time, and of course, hit the subscription and the bell. You know I'll update you if something changes. With the C3, we used to have a lighted, low-profile power head. This power head is going away. However, they will still be available for sale separately. If you really want one of these separate, yeah, you could put that on the L1. So this power head is going away. However, some of the C3s used to share the 228 power head, which is what comes standard with the L1 machines. And that's the biggest difference, is the power head is going away on some of their machines. So you will see the turbo head in place on some of the machines in their current lineup. That turbo head is really just for area rugs. Don't buy that if you're trying to clean carpet. So like always, Miele's equipping these per your flooring type. And here in the US, we have a lot of carpet. So you're really stuck with the top two machines if you want a machine that cleans carpet. Let's talk about the accessories that do come with the L1 that are different. They are keeping the standard switchable floor tool. This is a tool that can be switched in between hard floor and carpet. It's also energy efficient. It's been around for a while. This is staying, so we're going to have that. That will be the same between them. Next, I want to talk about controls, because that is the same but different. We have our on-off switch right here and our cord retract right here. And then also, depending on which C3 you had, you would have had a filter check light here as well, and a bag check light here as well. With the L1, there's two models, but I have the top of the line, which has an LCD screen, which will tell us our bag and our filter life here. Our rewind is on the same side, but in this big square thing that's kind of aesthetically pleasing. And you have your on-off right there. And we can turn the suction up and down and do things right there. In fact, I have it on right now, and it's incredibly quiet. Couple improvements on the L1. If you do not have the hose installed, there are a couple of rubber doors there. And what those do is keep the dust from flying back out if you choose to store it with the hose off. They have diffused the air through the side, and that is why it is so quiet. It's just got dual air diffusal, very similar to another brand of canister. We have 4 wheels with the suspension that are air-filled, so that is cool as well. And of course, this is made in Germany with pride, just like the C3 was. All right, we're going to talk about the handles. Now, the handle profiles look the same, and they are the same. I said earlier in the videos that they are the same handles, and depending on the model of C3 you have, that may or may not be true. The C3 had an option to have handle controls here. On certain models of the C3, you can turn the whole machine, turn the suction on and off from your fingertips. Here in North America, particularly in the US, Miele has decided to remove that from the L1, and we just get the basic hose that we got with the entry level. So just like previous C3 models, you only have your carpet hard floor switch there, which is okay, but again, I would have preferred to have some sort of handle controls like we saw in Europe, but again, we're not getting those here in the US. So that is a major difference between the L1 and the outgoing C3, is you are offered handle controls. Now, like I said earlier, the machines with the handle controls in the US were between $1,500 and $1,800 before they were discontinued. So you are saving a little bit of money by not having that feature. So at least Miele is pricing these things accordingly. All right, we've switched to studio microphone because I want you to hear the audio difference between the machine. One thing I really like about the new L1 Guard is how quiet this is. That is remarkably quieter than the last generation. And that is a technological accomplishment because these machines have the same hose, the same exhaust filter, and the same motor. So however they did that, kudos to Miele for doing that. Let's talk about what's inside the canisters. So they both have a lid that opens up like so. And one of the issues with the C3 was it automatically pulls the bag out a little bit to make it easier for you to change the bag. A lot of people struggled with that concept and would be very impatient. It would just slam the lid back on the bag and it would cause the bag to deform and then the dust wouldn't go in the bag. For whatever reason, people didn't understand that. Miele has changed that with a different bag system. So that is why we are now finally getting 2 new styles of vacuum bags. The first new styles of vacuum bags we've gotten in like 15 years. And they load and they click in with a very positive click. I wish they would have chosen slightly different colors. A lot of people are going to see these both as blue and say I have the blue bag. Understand that. This is a type TU. The other thing I want to mention about this bag is the bag now has more recycled material in it. So you will see this layer of black on here, which we didn't see before, but these are the genuine bags. But same sort of quality that we're used to seeing with Miele. Other thing that has changed is maintenance. Maintenance on these is a little bit different. While you still fill these bags up like a pillow, it used to be every 4 bags you would change a filter. With the new machine, they have gone to this as the motor intake filter, which means you are not changing this. So something that would happen with the older bags is we would get fuzzies from the bags because they're made out of recycled material. So if this starts to fill up with fuzzies, you are going to have to hand wash this and let it dry out of the machine overnight. So understand that as well. Again, I don't dislike the new bag system. It seems to work well. Something Miele has kept is their HEPA filtration. Their HEPA filtration is one of the things that they are known for. They were one of the big proponents of HEPA, and they were one of the first to do the synthetic bag and the sealed HEPA. So Miele has built their reputation on that. Of course, they have not changed that. So we have the same AirClean Style 50 filter that they launched with the Galaxy series. So that is the same. It goes in a little bit differently. So you might notice with this machine, the air is exhausting up and out, and sometimes that is in your face depending on where the machine is located at. This is exhausting through these sides and then diffused into here. So they have essentially built in an exhaust or a baffle or a muffler system, however you want to put that, to make this quieter, and that is a huge difference. Now, something that's interesting is the hose plug-in here is almost exactly the same part. That's interesting that they've kept that well. I'd be curious to see if these have the same cord rewind mechanism in it. I feel like they could have almost made that work. One other thing I found curious is Miele claims that the GN bag is bigger than the TU bag. These look to be the same size. If not, the TU bag looks a little bigger to me. Just a little side note, not really a plus or a minus, but just something to be aware of. Let's talk suction numbers. Let's see what the L1 is getting. The L1 is getting about 45, 48 inches of working vacuum and about 75 to 80 inches of sealed. And I'm giving you a scale because the blow-off valve in this is very sensitive, so that suction relief valve is just opening up, and I'm not getting the most accurate number in the world. However, I will list a spoiler. I know these have the same motor inside them. We are getting about 85 to 90 inches of sealed suction, and we are getting about 50 to 55 inches of working before, again, that relief valve opens up. So it appears the relief valve tuning is far more liberal with the new machine. Well, I hope this has been informative in terms of what some of the differences are between the L1 and the outgoing C3, S8, and the incoming M1. If you are looking for an electric power nozzle, i.e. you have carpet in your home and you want a Miele, you are going to buy an L1. That's really all there is to it. If you're lucky enough to find yourself a C3 at your local dealer, go ahead and pick that up as well. They are very similar machines, and I think the noise insulation of the L1 will be welcome to a lot of people. Power difference to me is very negligible. Just because one gets a little bit more on a suction gauge doesn't mean it's necessarily better. As we say, more better is not always more better. The machines share so many mechanical components. It is nice to see a refresh. And then just aesthetically, I think the L1 is a lot better looking and a lot more modern. And Miele knew that when they released it. They were going for a contemporary aesthetic, and it definitely meets that. This thing looks like it would be at home in a Restoration Hardware, in a West Elm. Name your modern furniture store, and it will look right at home. That means it's also going to look right at home, your house, and not look so industrial looking. So thanks for watching. Give this video a thumbs up. If you have an L1, I would love to hear from you. If you own a Miele, tell me what Miele you own, how long you've had it. We know these machines typically last 20 years or 1,000 working hours according to Miele. And have yourself a wonderful day.